Welcome back. We are right here in the heart of the Riverbend on this 20th day of December. And, you know, Tuesday is going to treat us a little bit better than, I think the rest of the week is because, we got the guy that does it all. Chad Scott is with Hyperlocal Extreme Weather. This page, as you guys know, is one of the most followed and interacted weather pages in the area. It's an honor to have you here, Chad. How are you doing today, man?
Hey, thanks, CJ. I am doing good. It's been a very crazy morning, as you can imagine, on the page. It's quite blowing up. I'm very much overwhelmed, but we're hanging in there. We got a big storm forecast.
And you know what? That's a great way to kind of tease that a little bit because you're right. I mean, this weekend, it kind of seems like we have a chance for a white Christmas, huh?
I would say that's a pretty dang good chance.
But that's for all of you to stay tuned and find out because we're going to ask Chad that at the end of the conversation today, man. Really just wanted really wanted to start off the conversation today, Chad, just by welcoming you on and you know, just kind of starting where, you know, right at the, you know, kind of forefront of this, you know, before you started the Hyperlocal Extreme Weather page, did you ever think about, you know, like weather reporting? Was that ever for you in the cards or was this something that kind of you thought about doing one day and just grabbed hold of it?
So actually, yeah, weather has always been fascinating to me. It sounds crazy, but I've kind of studied it since I've been like 5 years old.
Wow.
It started with me and my dad sitting in the living room watching the news. The weather segment came on, and at the time it was very known St. Louis meteorologist, and I'm like, they can predict weather. That's pretty damn cool. And ever since then, I've always had a passion for it, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's incredible. So was that basically the big reason on starting the page? Were there some other reasons involved in that, or was that just something you thought, you know what, let's do it?
Well, ironically enough, no. The page was actually never supposed to be public.
What?
So, yeah, no kidding. So what happened was back in the day, me and my friends challenged each other in the underground weather world to see who could put out the best forecast. So I started on my own personal page. And from there, word started getting around that I had some pretty accurate forecasts, I guess. And then I started getting numbers by the thousands adding me on my personal page. And I guess the volume was becoming more and more to where Facebook themselves actually accused me of running a business off of it.
Oh. You had Zuckerberg after you, huh?
I absolutely did. And I tell you, I got several messages telling me that I need to shut down my page or convert to a public figure. And ultimately what happened is Facebook sent me my last warning, and it was a pretty ignorant message from Facebook telling me you're going to do this or we're shutting you down. We're blocking your profile and deleting everything, and you will never be able to access it again. And you'll be blocked from Facebook. It was a pretty strongly worded message from Facebook that I had to either convert to a public figure or convert to a public page.
Wow. And why? I mean, to me, it's I guess I just don't understand Facebook, man, because I'm thinking, what's the harm in what you're doing? Was it just, I guess it overwhelmed their algorithm?
I guess that's what it is. I would assume so. They showed a lot of strong volume coming to my page, and it was time that I did something about it or they shut me down. And This was a few years back. So I chose to actually do a page rather than a public figure because truthfully, I like staying out of the public eye. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I'm a little self-conscious about my eyes. Obviously you can see my glasses. I've talked about it. I'm pretty open about it, but truthfully, I've always tried to stay out of the public eye as much as possible. So rather than to actually become a public figure to where everybody sees my face all the time,
right,
I chose to go with the page aspect so I could kind of hide myself behind the page. Although that's not working very well these days.
Well, I'm telling you what, over the last 2 weeks, you could have done the best hiding job you could have done, but they would have found you. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So take us through that then. So, I mean, you'll get the page launched because you're basically told you have to do this. There's no if, and, or but. You're locked out of Facebook. What was the initial concept of the page? Has it always been constant, or have you adapted and changed throughout the course since the launch?
So I've always been pretty constant with my forecasting. I have a very tactical technique that I use for forecasting than others. But what has changed is I no longer could handle the volume myself. So after it became way too much on my side to handle, I added a bunch of team members. Some of these are meteorologists, people with atmospheric science backgrounds, graphics. And so the page went from being a text-based page to now we have all these really cool graphics. We have animation.
I love the winter weather. The blizzard button is so cool, man. I saw that.
Thank you. It is on deck. It is on deck. We'll talk about that later. But
yep.
Yeah. So, and then ultimately we decided to also, address the way I address our audience is a very straightforward manner.
Yep.
And we also try to make it fun for our audience. We like to guide our audience into a forecast rather than just be some big media person on TV saying this is what it's going to do, because that's not always what it's going to do in the weather world, as we know.
Well, and too, I mean, I was going to hit on this later, but I think it's an appropriate time now. What I think is so impressive about you guys is that when there's something that didn't get projected the right way, if the weather system that came in was just not what you guys were projecting, you're the first ones to put bust all over your stuff. When it comes to those, precipitation charts, was that something you always had in mind to do, or you thought, what the hell, might as well?
So, yeah, our page is always based upon being truthful, honest with our audience.
Mm-hmm.
We actually even sometimes go back and grade our forecast to show people how well or how well not we did at the forecast. And when we bust, we want to publicly advertise it. We want to take responsibility for our forecast, well, for my forecast, so to speak. I do have quite a few others in the background helping us. But no, when we bust, we want it advertised. We write bust, bust, bust in as big as letters possible and post it to the main page. Thankfully, there has not been very many of them.
Mm-mm.
But when it does happen, we don't lie about it. We just shoot it y'all straightforward, and that's how it is.
And I got to ask you, Chad, at any point in time, did you ever feel that, you were ever going to amass such an engaged following that you guys have amassed? Because, I mean, to get numbers on Facebook, I mean, it's difficult, but it's not unheard of. The interaction and engagement factor that you guys have is unheard of. Was that ever something you foresaw?
So no, I kind of thought it was just going to be me and the 500 people that I talk to on a daily, regular basis about the weather. Just bunch of weather enthusiasts, weather geeks that just like to love and track storm systems and patterns. Unfortunately, to my surprise, it was not anywhere expected to how it was supposed to blow up. After I converted that page, I think overnight in the first 72 hours, we already had 5,000 people added to the page.
Wow.
So we didn't even know what to think at that point.
Wow. That is in that moment you go, what did we do? Did we break Facebook? I mean, what's the thought there?
Well, the thought was just complete astonishment. We now went from a lower end audience to now what is I would at the time considered a pretty big audience to address weather information to. So that goes along with what you said about how we have to convey the message to the audience. Mm-hmm. And we had to change up some colorful language on our back end to be a little bit more professional on the front end, if you know what I'm saying.
We're
not perfect.
It's the mullet mentality. Business in the front, you throw whatever in the back and hope for the best, That's fantastic. Well, take me through this. When you guys are making, when you look at a potential forecast, there's always different, metric systems and different things people look at. What are your guys' kind of guidelines? What are the things you're looking at before you make some type of a bold projection? We aren't going to say everyday weather, but just something like, a storm system or maybe even the winter storm that we'll talk about later. What's that type of process look like?
Well, the type of process is for several days out, we usually shut our mouths. We don't really convey to the audience what's going on or what we're seeing. We're looking at the upper level heights. We're looking for areas of warm air, areas of cold air, troughs, low pressure systems, which are essentially what drives our weather, along with the jet stream, obviously. So we're looking at all these different patterns and blocking and what it does is these patterns ultimately are what steer the storm in whatever direction. And that's kind of what we got going on right now. With this storm, we went big and bold straight out of the door for the last 2 weeks now. And we actually told our audience about this storm period about 3 months ago.
Wow.
More interesting. Yes.
How? How does that, was it just a radar that you, I mean, you aren't telling people this is going to happen on this date at this time. That is really cool, man. That is so neat.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
So how that works is I have created my own algorithms and data patterns and programming that matches up likewise analog years. And there was a strong analog year that particularly matched up. And then there was about 3 others that matched up. And on a very interesting note, on June 27th of this year, way back in June, we addressed our audience to be prepared for a white Christmas.
Now that's incredible. That has to be you have to be one of the first, if not the first in the region this year to tell people, get ready because there's a chance.
Yep, and we're going to reshare that post just so everybody remembers sometime this week.
That is incredible, man. And I got to ask you, whenever you're, kind of circle back to the whole busted thing, right? Because to me, the transparency of the page is one of the most important aspects you guys have because you're honest, like you said. If something's not looking right, you always adapt it. Take us through that. Is that something that you're going to keep up and make sure that you guys are always, doing those busted posts? Has anyone else kind of followed suit to what you're doing in that?
Thankfully, no. Unfortunately, I'm sure you've seen with other outlets.
Yep.
We have been copied a lot.
Yes.
As far as our techniques and graphics and presentation style goes. And I'm sure you've seen with big media, they're trying to bring a bunch of humor to the forecast. We've always tried to present the weather on a lighter note and make weather a little bit more fun because in and of itself, it's not that fun to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, people are kind of taking what you're doing and either adapting it or just straightforward copy and pasting it for their platform. At first that's got to be a little unnerving. But now, how does that kind of feel? Is it more flattering now? That's still got to be a little frustrating.
We didn't like it at first, but as somebody told me one time, being copied is the greatest form of flattery. So nowadays we just embrace it. We do see our forecast copied on multiple levels, and we've seen them take down our logos for other people to actually call it their forecast. Thankfully, we have a pretty vigilant audience that actually pretty much goes to all these media pages and addresses them that, hey, this is not your forecast. You
got a bunch of vigilantes out there, not vigilant, but Batman, is what I'm thinking of. A lot of them are very in tune to what you're doing, and they're keeping an eye out for you. That's got to be a special relationship you guys have.
It is very, very wonderful to have the type of audience we had. As I've said, we built it on honesty and trust, and these people back us 100%. So when people say something on social media that is just completely out of line, or if they want to come on in there and try to do their own forecasting that doesn't even make sense at all, they are quick to attack them. And we don't necessarily mean attack them, but they set them straight very much.
Well, and they set the record straight because, so many times, and I think you could be in agreement with me on this, in years past before social media and before the big, influx of just engagement that way, a lot of media, companies would do the same thing people are doing to you. They'd steal something from somebody that's just getting started or has something, and then they'd forget, they'd steal it, move on, and then the other guy's forgotten about. And I think it's huge that you guys have that bit of support system, that huge support system that you have. Let's circle back to storms real quick. I got to ask you, man, we're in like the weirdest environment for storms and weather activity. What are some of the most memorable systems that you've covered? Or is there any one that's on the top of your mind all the time that you go, wow, that's one of the best we've done?
Wow. Well, there's many of them. There's some locally and both away from here whenever we go and chase hurricanes. Some of the memorable ones around here were, one of them was from my hometown back in Union, Missouri, on May 7th, 2000. The storm was just incredible. It blew up, obviously, like summertime, like just super storm, and dropped anywhere from 10 to 17 inches of rain down. And unfortunately, that storm just kind of destroyed our town for many years to come. It was so sad. So many mobile homes and trailers were wiped out. Cars were destroyed. Bridges were literally almost impassable. Some of them didn't get repaired for probably 5 or 10 years after. So that was a major impact storm.
Well, and too, I mean, it kind of circles back to what you just, to me, why it's so important to do what you guys are doing. Because, I mean, we always look at it from a perspective, I think, in the Midwest of, oh, let's go watch the thunderstorm or let's go watch the snowstorm. But,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times, I mean, you guys are really creating awareness for somebody to hopefully prevent them from making a fatal mistake in some of these situations. You know, I mean, all it takes is to go out whenever it's a massive rainstorm or storm surge and you're caught in a flash flood if you didn't check things. I mean, we've seen how those things can affect our area. Does that make you kind of, I mean, put you a little bit of a chip, not a chip on your shoulder, but definitely in a different perspective when you're doing this stuff?
Yes, it does. So, yeah, as a storm chaser myself, you know, I always preach to our audience is to do as I tell you to do, not as I do.
Right.
Because I am trained to understand the weather patterns, get out of storm's way, and know when things are going to get bad. And we convey the safety to our audience, which safety is the number one key on that site. So, like I said, besides just that storm, like there's several notable ones. We had the Groundhog Day blizzard, which was a complete bust that we did not forecast, by the way. To this day, I think people still get reamed on that one. Couple other storms of note this year, July 25th, 26th, 28th. I'm sure you all seen all the devastation that occurred up there towards the Brentwood area.
Yes.
With another anywhere from 8 to, I think, 16 inches of rainfall fell, flooded the whole area, destroyed businesses. And unfortunately, it's sad that they're still recovering over there on that one as well. The other, if you want a couple other notable storms, was a Defiance tornado that actually started touching down over my house at the time. I was forecasting this live.
Oh, wow.
On my weather page. And I was literally telling people to get the F out of the way because it was that bad. It was that big. It was that major. We knew it was going to be complete devastation. And with our large audience, it only took minutes after it pulled through to get video and to get pictures. And it was so sad that some of the photos that we chose not to even show on our page because we try to just not, you know, make somebody's lives even more miserable than what it already is. And unfortunately, lives were lost on that one.
Oh, and that's something, you know, as much fun as we're having talking about weather and some of the, you know, the upside of things. I mean, that's something that nobody can ever prepare themselves for, you know, and just, you know, I've had, you know, my uncle lived through the Oklahoma tornadoes in the 90s, you know, and some of those things. And to hear those stories and to see what, you know, your personal experience was through that. I mean, to me, that's why, you know, joking or being a little bit lighthearted about it, but you really do an important service because a lot more people are on their phones today. You know, hardly any of us are sitting at home watching television, and to have that up-to-date information, man, I mean, that's crucial in some of these situations. It
very much so is.
Yeah.
It's very crucial. Getting the message out as quick as possible is our goal. We realize that the size audience, you know, sometimes it's just, and we, you know, we've reached almost 3 million people in just a month.
Oh, wow.
So we have hundreds of thousands of people coming to that page, and we try to do what's right. And we try to convey the message with much bigger wording whenever we have serious situations going forward. And, you know, that goes along with the ice storm in November 30th, December 1st of 2006, which was also devastating. I remember
that affected here, too. Yeah, I do remember that. We were out, 2 weeks, it seemed like, or a week.
Yeah, in my area, we were close to 3 weeks, headed by generators.
Wow.
It was a bad deal for much of our region. Probably the most notable storm I've ever tracked was probably Hurricane Irma, which that I chased, which was at the time the biggest storm to ever develop out in the ocean, and had head up towards Florida.
Wow.
Pretty wild storm to chase. I could tell you a crazy story about that, but I'm sure we don't have time for that.
Well, if we do, we might have to circle back because now you're just making me get it. There is so much we can talk about with this, but I want to make sure we get through the first and the other things first.
Absolutely.
But I mean, seriously, the amount of history that you've seen too, and it's great to kind of have that, with you because you're able to see how things went the last time for future forecasts. I'm sure, you can't compare them ever, but I'm sure, but just to kind of have that forefront, in the forefront of your mind. Let's transition here a little bit. If it's okay, Chad. The last couple of weeks, we've seen social media. This is something that we've talked about. There was a little bit of a frenzy, I called it. I didn't know what else to call it. I just called it a frenzy because it seemed to me that some comments were made by a local weather reporter. If you want to say who it is, you can. I don't see the need to because, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I think you're doing pretty good without having him on your, coming out against you. But, what were your initial thoughts on this? Because basically, I mean, he was kind of coming out against you guys for being almost, devastating to the viewers, instead of being helpful. That's what my takeaway was.
Yeah, well, I want to be a little bit more clear on that. And as this particular meteorologist is very well known. An ironic twist to the drama that had unfolded on our page. He had been my mentor since the ice storm of 2006. We had lived in the underground since 2006 in our own little private blog, our own little forum, our own little weather world. And he taught me so much. So working with him just has been an honor with all the knowledge this person has.
Right.
So I don't want to say that he's done anything wrong. He's not a cyber bully by any means.
Right.
What was the issue was a term that was used by James Spann, who is also very critical of social meteorologists, as they like to call us. And he termed that phrase a couple of years ago. I believe that's who the exact person was to first use that term. I'm fine with being a social meteorologist. I don't care. I'm just there to report the weather and try to be honest with my audience.
Can I just say something, not to cut you off, but I don't think we give a damn if you're a social meteorologist because it's accurate and it's actually there quicker than the TV is a lot of the times when we need it. So, sorry, just let me stay out of this one. I'll listen.
No, you're good. I'll try my best. But like I said, I want to address that issue publicly. So it's what happened. Many people don't realize, but weather is highly competitive. It is a highly competitive business, especially back and forth in the underground, back and forth between big media, and then big media battling back and forth between social media. So a lot of times people post maps of big snowfalls, big unrealistic clown maps, as they're called, and we have shown them on our page. But we try to tell people the honesty about these maps is that they're not right, but it's guidance. It's used for guidance purposes. And we have always been honest with our audience, whereas the other sources are not. They just post something and be like, oh man, we got this big storm coming up. You guys prepare for devastation and death.
They want the shares.
Like to dramatize things. And as you see, we don't hype things up on our page. We're just really real with our audience. So basically, what happened is a few of those members within this particular forum in the underground had ganged up on us and decided that they were going to go on over there and make fun of our page because of the maps that we were posted, because big media doesn't like the maps to be posted that far out, because to be honest with you, every meteorologist likes to keep their secret tools in their secret toolbox and not be exposed to the world. And guess what? That's the issue. They don't like us exposing things to the world.
That's what I was kind of trying to figure out here, because to me it was like, well, this is something that these guys use all the time, or at least know what these things, mean. I didn't at first. I thought, well, because I saw the pictures and things, and we have a couple of minutes. Zoom's telling me to hurry up. But we got to, I was looking through it and I thought, well, this seems like a tool that a lot of these meteorologists use. So what's the issue? So is that kind of the correlation, do you think?
Correct. Yeah. So some of the tools we use, although we have our own proprietary system on how we actually forecast weather. And as you can see, it's worked out very well. And our followers that have been there for the longest time know this.
Right.
So we use our own algorithms, our own analog systems, along with the tools that every single meteorologist in the whole entire United States uses. And we combine a mix of all this together to actually formulate our forecast.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's what I was kind of wondering, because I knew that you guys had tools, but I didn't notice at first what you guys were doing, and now it kind of makes sense. So before we move on from this topic, because this is something that a lot of people have been discussing, is there any other is there any other misconceptions that you'd like to clear up on this, or anything else?
Basically, the biggest thing I want to illustrate is that because of a term that was used, and like I said, this guy is a very much mentor to me, and I hold high respect for him. The term, unfortunately, just unfolded by the other members and saying bad stuff about us. I had contacted this particular meteorologist. We had talked about it. We have resolved it, and those that did the harmful things to us have been reprimanded, and we now consider this a closed matter, and we can move forward and focus on the weather storm, and that's our plan.
Hey, I like that. I love it a lot, actually, because you guys can keep focused on what you do best, and it kind of segues perfectly into what I'm going to ask you next. All righty, the moment we've all been waiting for. Zoom's getting tired of me. Zoom's even telling me you got 10 minutes to get this weather forecast, CJ. There is a chance, right, for a white Christmas. I will just do what I do best and say the floor is yours, Senator. What can we expect this weekend, or what is the chance of the white Christmas?
Well, we're on timely manner. We need to hurry up here, but I'll tell you, we need to talk about the storm first. The biggest emphasis on the storm is not necessarily the snowfall that's going to happen, but the dangerous wind chills that are going to be anywhere from minus 20 to minus 30 degrees. We're going to be dropping down to well below zero. The winds are just going to rip, and at anywhere from 30 to 50 miles per hour. We're talking blizzard-like conditions. It's going to make near whiteout conditions. It's going to essentially be, in my opinion, a very historic storm for St. Louis. And like I said, it might not be all that much snow. However, in saying that, I do believe we have a fair amount of snow, at least probably 2 to 5 inches coming our way, okay. Especially for St. Louis, immediate St. Louis region points north. Could those numbers go up? Yeah, there's some big maps out there that show it. But based on the track, let's just say it live on air. I do believe St. Louis will have a white Christmas.
There you go. But you know what? You hit an even more important thing in my estimation, and that is making sure you guys do know that there is a chance for some really nasty wind chills. What are you guys seeing? I love the fact we're getting white Christmas, but be careful out there is pretty much the takeaway from this, right, Chad?
That is the absolute takeaway. We're dealing with a very dangerous storm system. It's something that I've never personally seen in my history being modeled before. And people may be taking this lightly, and we are not taking it lightly on our page. We're doing our best to address the audience that, hey, we're getting a white Christmas, but let's not make this the big headline. The big headline is the cold, the winds, the dangers involved to everything. I mean, especially like pets and stuff outside, people driving, if they get stranded in whiteout conditions from blowing snow over the roads. The latest models say it could even start as a little bit of rain, which would make the chemical impact on the roads less effective. And once you get, in the teens and stuff, salt doesn't work very well to actually keep those roads clean. So we could be dealing with a flash freeze situation. So if people get stranded out there in their cars and run out of gas, they could be risking hypothermia or even at worst freeze to death. So I'm very concerned about our audience, and I'm very much concerned about this storm. It's not one to take lightly.
Well, and that's why I'm so glad you brought that up, because, it was lighthearted talking about a white Christmas, but this is more serious. What are you seeing now? I mean, the likelihood of this, it's only Tuesday. We got 3 days until, or 2 days until the potential of this. Do you guys ever do likelihoods, or are we just saying at this point, stay tuned to the Facebook page and let's see what else gets developed?
So usually our process is to put out a probability map of the likelihood of this storm happening. It's actually a very popular map that we release, and people really enjoy the probability map. However, we're going to skip right straight to it and get to the point with with snow totals, snow numbers, the hazards and everything, because at this point, the probability map is just thrown out. We pretty much can tell you right now that anyone, especially in the St. Louis Metro points north, is looking at a very significant storm, and it's going to be extremely cold and high winds and just almost historic in nature. I don't want to say the word that it's going to be historic, but it very well could be.
Absolutely. And Chad Scott, we really appreciate this sit down with us today. I mean, just to get to know a little bit more about you, the page, a little bit of the recent headlines, but most importantly, to talk about the importance of staying tuned to the weather reports as this weekend approaches. White Christmas is great, but negative wind chill is not so great. So, Chad, anything else you want to say before we let you go?
No, really the biggest thing is I just want to thank the community for all their support. I've never would have ever imagined that we'd get so much support from the community and how everybody loves our page. And, you know, we got so many first responders and teachers and superintendents and everybody that are all in contact. I swear we have every single school district in the whole entire state that comes to us and asks us questions about what they should or should not do with their forecast. And also, you know, I also want to thank my team. Right. My team together, helps me put these forecasts together. My team together is what makes the website happen. You know, we sell shirts and stuff online. We have graphics artists. He does a damn good job at the graphics. If you've not seen, we have really good graphic artists. So it's not just me behind the page. It's me and my team behind the page working together towards one goal, and that is to keep the public safe.
Absolutely. Chad Scott is with Hyperlocal Extreme Weather, a page that you guys should know all about. I talk to so many people in the community, Chad, their followers, their supporters, and so are we. Anytime you want to come back, fill us in on any bigger weather systems, we would love to have you. And thank you so much for your time.
Hey, CJ, I appreciate you having me on the show. Thank you very much.
No problem. We're going to take a quick break. We come right back with Alton girls basketball team. They're off to a perfect start, and we find out how perfect after this.